So I recently just moved out to the country. Well, I'm in a small town, but I'm an hour outside of the city. And it's interesting because I never thought I'd move back to a small town. Like if you would have asked me to 10 years ago, shit, even meant to 2 years ago, I probably would have said no. Like I always had this vision for myself that I was going to be like in the big city. I thought I was going to move to the US for a while there. Like I've always toyed with this idea. However, my boyfriend lives out here and has a home out here. And if it wasn't for dating him and experiencing the difference in my nervous system being in the city versus out here, I probably would have never made the jump. But seeing the very real difference in my body when I'm outside of the city, like sealed the deal. Welcome back to another episode of the Higher Alignment Podcast, where high performers come to grow without stress, shame, or burning out. I'm Mintu Lam, and I'm here to help you work smarter, live fuller, and feel like yourself again. If you're tired of running on empty, book your complimentary assessment call at higheralignmentconsulting.com/program, and let's figure out what's draining your energy and what you can do to start feeling happy and peaceful once again. You can find the link in the show notes. Now let's get into the episode. What it showed me is that, first off, like the city is so dysregulating, and of course, you guys know if you've been following me for a while or if you're a client of mine, that you will naturally want to be in environments that vibrate at the same level as you, right? So when you're extremely dysregulated, when you're in fight or flight all day or you're in survival mode all day, what's going to feel comfortable, quote unquote, to you are environments that match that same energy. That's why you want to do a HIIT workout all the time. That's why you want to work in chaotic environments. That's why you always need to stay busy. Like a day off feels like you're lazy, or the weekends need to be jam packed, right? When your nervous system is vibrating on 1,000, you have to find environments that match that so that you can stay comfortable. Okay. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just showing where your nervous system is currently at as far as dysregulation. And obviously, when we are in that state constantly, it's not sustainable long term, right? That's like driving an engine on the red line and thinking you're gonna get a good life out of it. Like that engine's gonna crap out on you so quick, right? So it's the same thing with our body. When we're constantly vibrating on 10, we will burn so much energy, so much time, and then you end up in burnout and resentful, maybe depressed, unhappy, unhealthy. The list goes on, right? As I've done the work on my nervous system over the years and I've slowly adjusted my pace of life, it's been honestly about 3 years. Like I got myself out of burnout about 5 years ago, I would say now. And then since then, it's been a continuous journey of regulating myself more and more and coming into alignment with what is really nourishing to me, as a woman, as someone who has started something for herself and started her own coaching business, and someone who left working in corporate. You know what I mean? Like it's been a journey of just finding really what is that sweet spot for me. And so even when I left my corporate job, did I think I was going to end up moving out of the city? Heck no. But here I am. And so this last year of being with Thomas, with my partner, and staying in the city and then coming and staying at his house out of the city, my body very much experienced the difference. Where a few months into us dating, I had a hard time going back to my own place. Obviously, I found comfort in him and wanting to be with him, but also just the constant noise and the constant, like in the city, you're constantly being stimulated. There's always a car driving past you, or a person walking past you, or a noise from a bus, or a fire truck or something. Like there's constant stimulation, right? And you probably drowned it out, right? Like even if I look at where I lived in the city for the first few years, I was always in the more of the downtown area because I was so dysregulated. Like I could have moved out to the burbs, but that was quote unquote too quiet for me. So I always had a place in the city, like right downtown. And so it was great because I had access to everything. But really, it was just a representation of where my nervous system was at, right? It was on 1,000 at that time. So I need to stay in an environment that fed that, right? I used to tell myself, oh, it's too quiet at night. I need some noise around me. And like, it was true at the time, but now, especially once I had been staying out in the country and then going back home, like I'd spend a couple days at my house and I'd be like, oh my God, like I can't, nothing shuts off here. Everything's constantly on. Right. And so what it's made me realize is that if you want to regulate yourself, or as you become more regulated and your baseline for regulation increases, you're naturally going to want to simplify. Okay. And so if you're going through a period in your life where you're like, why don't I want to be as social? Or why do I want to stay home more? Or why do I want to be like going for coffee dates instead of like maybe restaurant dates? Like something as simple as that. Like it, this is a natural progression of your body not only wanting more simplicity, but being able to allow it and being able to receive it. Because when you're burnt out and dysregulated, you might say, I want inner peace, but your body might be like, oh, that feels unsafe to me. Like, I don't want to do that. Like, we're just going to stay in the hustle and bustle. We're going to keep going out, all those things, right? But as you become more regulated, you're going to naturally want to crave that. Now, you could also say that's a sign of getting older, right? That's a little bit of it as well, too. But my point in saying that is I have had clients recently where the things that used to bring them joy or fulfillment or fun are no longer doing that. And that's okay for that to change, right? And that might feel like you are losing a part of yourself, or you might think like, wow, I'm like becoming lame or whatever the case is. But that's actually the natural progression of things, right? If your level of stimulation and what you want out of life shifts, that's actually a good thing, right? Again, especially if it's becoming more simple. I had a client actually just a couple of months ago to shoot me a text, and we finished working together with each other at the beginning of the year, roughly. But yeah, like February, March, I think we were done. And he sent me a text. He's like, I forgot to tell you. He's like, I did something crazy. And I was like, what? He's like, sold everything and bought an acreage. And I was like, wow. I said, what a testament to all the work you've done. He's like, 100%. Like he just knew it in his soul. Like when he was dysregulated, it's like stay in the city, stay in the hustle bustle, stay connected to everything. And it's like once he had gotten through that and became more regulated and in tune and in touch with himself again, he was like able to really step back and be like, what do I really want for me and my family? And it's like to be out on some land where we have space for our kid to run free and animals and no noise and like, you know what I mean? And so if you're at a place in your life where you're also just super dysregulated and you're like, I want that, then my advice as well is to simplify, right? What we typically do when we're dysregulated is we find something else to add onto our plate, right? Because we want to relieve the discomfort that's happening in our body. So, especially as high performers, we think, well, then I need to do something to get rid of it. I need to go for a high intensity workout. I need to like go out with my friends. I need to take on a project. I need to answer emails. I need to do something to get rid of this discomfort and this restlessness that's in my body, which is just dysregulation. That's fine. However, what that's going to do is that's going to keep burning energy unnecessarily out of you when your body's telling you, I'm already like running on E. That's what restlessness is telling you. That's what that emptiness inside is telling you is like, hey man, like I need some gas in the tank because I am on empty. Right? So instead of adding more to your plate to distract that feeling, you want to simplify. Like, how do I become more still? How do I come back to myself? How do I minimize distraction and stimulation? Okay. And is that going to feel uncomfortable at first? Yeah. But that's why you have to support your body in the process, right? So simplifying can look like something like, I'm actually not going to work past 6 p.m. That's simplification. When you've been used to being the person who's always on and you're answering and available to 8 p.m. at night and you're feeling your body like craving like it's at that point where you're like, "Okay, I can feel like I'm just on edge all the time." Simplify. Simplify means instead of stopping work at 6 or at 8, stop work at 6, right? Now, is that gonna feel uncomfortable in your body? Is choosing to sit and have some alone time versus calling a friend gonna be uncomfortable? Yeah, like, but that's where you have to learn to regulate and sit with your body and support in the process. Now, what does that practically look like? That means getting out of your head and into your body, because that restlessness you feel in your body to do something is going to attach to a story in your head. And that story is going to be like, you're lazy. You can handle this. You need to stay busy. Don't waste a day, right? Get ahead of it now. It's going to create these stories that attach to this discomfort in your body. And then it's going to convince you that you just need to do more. All right, if you're a burnt out executive or high performer, chances are you're on a 3 to 4 month cycle of burnout, meaning the first few months, you're high energy, productive, and making it happen. And then once that third or fourth month sets in, you're exhausted, irritable, snappy, and ready to give it all up. Now, there are two main reasons you get stuck in this cycle that no one talks about when it comes to stress management information out there. So I've put this together in a short video called The Real Reason You're Burnt Out. I put it in the show note links. So take the 12 minutes to watch this video and let this be the first step to you getting off this hamster wheel of burnout. All right, guys, back to the episode. So what you want to do is you want to shut off that part of your brain, but you need to do it by getting into your body, getting the body moving and active, because it's not enough to just say, stop those thoughts. You can't control your thoughts. They're like clouds. They're going to float by, float by, float by. Try catching one of those. It's nearly impossible. Okay. So the process of supporting is get up and go for a micro walk. Get up and do some breath work, do some stretching, do some yin yoga, do some dancing. Like you can do shaking as well too. Like, and this might sound silly to you, but I promise it works. It works. And I'm not the only person that says it works. There's so much scientific evidence behind this. But if you get your body activated, it's going to allow you to switch up the state in your mind a lot faster. And then once you start releasing those thoughts of I'm lazy, I need to keep busy, I need to stay productive, whatever the case is, now it becomes a lot easier to settle into the moment and to simplify, right? Because it's that voice in our head that drives us crazy. It's the voice in our head that says you're going to miss out, you're going to fall behind, you're going to be bored, you're going to whatever other story it wants to tell you. So if you can quiet those thoughts, if you can shift those thoughts, if you can shift up your overall state, then guess what? It becomes a lot easier to do those things. And then when you can get more quiet, when you can create that space where you can hear your own inner thoughts, now you can really ask yourself, what's going on? What do I feel like I'm missing? What part of me have I been ignoring? What do I really need to feel fulfilled and loved and supported and connected right now? Right? But you can only get that through simplifying. You're not going to get that from doing more. Not how it works. So my call to you today is to think about where in your life you can simplify more. And that might be as simple, again, as simplifying your work hours. That might be simplifying the type of tasks or emails you respond to at work. That might be simplifying even something as just like what you typically call your friends about. Like, I'll be honest, especially being with Thomas now, like I used to be on the phone with my girlfriends once, twice a week easily. I don't talk to them as much anymore. And not because I don't love them or because I'm consumed by a boy. Like it's not even that. It's just because now that I've changed up my lifestyle, I simplify. I simplify the inputs I get. I simplify the stimulation I take on. I simplify the distractions in my life, right? And my nervous system feels way better for it because I've been working with my nervous system, my body for so long now that I can feel when I'm approaching that, like, oh, we're going to start like redlining here. Like I can feel it. And so now when I feel that creep up, I double down even faster on simplification, push things out, delegate this, dial back my workout, right? Like I really pay attention to that just because I know the other side of it of push, push, push and where that got me. And you might be listening to this and you've never experienced that before. And that's okay. You might need to borrow some of my experience, right? But if you've always been in push mode, then you know that you can, how am I trying to say this? If you've always been in push mode, the only state you probably know is actually redlining, but it's so normal to you and you have no reference point for something different that that's where that you push yourself to stay there just so you can feel like you're accomplishing something in life. Where when you can learn to have different speeds to support the body, to refuel you, to give you the ability to have more sustainable long-term success, and you have a taste of what that's like, you're going to get a lot better at being able to navigate that push-pull and being able to manage your stress better. But that comes back to regulating your nervous system. And if you're not sure how to do that, I did an episode on that in the summer, I think. So just go back and look for it. It's called How to Regulate Your Nervous System. It's very simple and strategic. So just go listen to it. But it comes back to simplicity. This is probably the simplest my life has ever been. And I am the happiest, the most at peace, the most free. And that doesn't mean I've had to give up all like my ambitions in the process. My business is growing faster than it ever has. My health is in the best place it's ever been. I have the best relationship I've ever had. Like I haven't had to slow down as far as what I want out of life. Just the strategy has changed. And again, it's because I've simplified. So ask yourself, where can you trim the fat? That might be relationships. That might be responsibilities. That might be roles. That might be what you're saying yes to. That might be how you're living. That might be clothes. Man, when I moved, I gave away 7 full garbage bags of clothes and I still had so much. And I don't even notice what I gave away. Like we're such an over consuming society, like in every facet, food, clothing, like consumer goods, like stimulation online. Like we're just constantly overstimulated that honestly, all of us would do better with simplifying. It's just like fasting, right? Fasting is so good for the body because it gives the body that break to actually heal and regenerate and do all these things. We all need to fast. We need to fast from society. We need to fast from all the things we think we need. Like fasting, simplification, it is so good for you. So ask yourself, where can you trim the fat? And then see what it does for your nervous system. See what it does for your stress. See if you even notice that you cut it out. But I promise you, if you're on a journey of coming back to yourself, if you're on a journey of creating a life that feels genuinely good to you, and you can still accomplish things that you want to, but you're not losing yourself in the process, simplification is key. Thanks for tuning into another episode of the Higher Alignment Podcast. If you got something out of this episode, I would ask that you please go subscribe and leave the podcast a 5-star review so that it can help find its way to other people who are having a hard time and need support. I want to help free people of the heavy pressure they carry on a day-to-day basis, and having more people listen to this podcast will do just that. So wherever you listen to this, please go leave it a 5-star review, hit subscribe so you never miss another episode, and we'll see you in the next one.